welcome to my channel. I have not given up on BMX yet. You might think so just because all my recent videos, but I still have some work to do here, and one of the things you might have noticed if you've been watching my channel for a while is every time I apply the brakes on my BMX bike, they squeal, and I always have to put a warning for headphone users in text because they're probably going to hurt your ears when they squeal. So I'm going to see, this is a total experimental thing. I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to make my brakes work well and not squeal so bad. And so I bought like an assortment of pads. So what's interesting is if we go back in time, and I'm talking way back to like the 1970s, the common brake pad, or at least the popular one, were these Mathauser pads. And I think I'm saying that right. It's a TH, but I think the H is silent. So it's Mathauser and not Mathauser, but I'm not 100% sure. But they were fancy. There were some that just had the kind of bent aluminum around the pad, and the pad didn't stand there very well. And then there were ones that were aluminum and they were finned, and the pad, you could actually interchange the pads and slide them in and out. I wish I had a pair here because they were super cool. And this is technology from like the late 70s, early 80s. And I believe the pads were popular for road bikes and things like that too. And they were this color. So since then, if you can see, oh here, this one shows it. Cool Stop, which was also a brake pad company from back in probably, I think the 80s is when I remember them. They might have been around before that. And if you don't know, I got into BMX in 1980, and I know a little bit about BMX from the 70s because I was around a lot of riders that had already been riding for a while, and of course it was in the magazines and all that stuff. But the Cool Stop made these little Vans pads. They made pads that worked with these, our plastic mag wheels, or tough wheels as we called them back then, Skyway tough wheels, whatever. So Cool Stop was popular, and I have to be honest, back in the 80s it was really hard to get your BMX brakes to work well. And it wasn't until like getting into the late 80s that we realized chrome rims, and I mean chrome as in chrome plated, not silver, not polished rims, but chrome plated rims, and pretty much most brake pads worked really well together. So that was awesome, and we had much better brakes and so on and so forth. If we just fast forward through all the years, because I'm not going to go through the history of brakes on BMX bikes, and we go into today's status, most BMX riders, believe it or not, they don't run brakes at all. And so there's only a few of us left. I'm going to guess probably 25% of BMXers, maybe even only 20%, run brakes now, and everybody else just goes brakeless. So especially the younger generation, us older generation riders still run brakes. Trail riders tend to run brakes because you kind of need that ability to stop in certain instances if something goes wrong. But for the most part, BMX bikes don't run brakes. So this is going to be the experiment. I'm going to try these different pads. I have a new Odyssey brake. I've always been doing the Odyssey Springfields, but I want to try a different one, see if the brake is a little better, because honestly on my Ditto, this is my 22-inch, I have the Springfields, and they just don't, they come too close together before they can really give me a lot of power on the rim. And I'll talk a little bit about that when I actually get to the video where I'm going to do the work here. But right now I'm just talking about the experiment that I'm going to do. So that's the plan. We're going to change out the brake, and I'm going to try, I've never seen these white ones before. So I thought, well, I'm going to try them. I think they're like some kind of all-weather pad. And I'm just going to experiment. I'm going to try these big long ones. Does more surface area, does the red, and this was the original Mathauser compound, and since Cool Stop bought them out, they took over the compound. Then there's these more simpler versions or variants. And we're just gonna see, can I get good working brakes on my BMX bike without the squeal. And of course, people might be asking, well, why don't we run discs on BMX bikes, right? Well, if you look at my race bike hanging here, get away from the light, it has a disc on it. Well, this is a race bike. It's gonna only do race tracks and maybe some dirt jumps and stuff like that. But these bikes, when you have pegs and such, and you're doing certain things, if you had a disc on here, and you had a peg on here and you're grinding, you're going to just destroy that disc. So you can't really put discs on bikes that are made for riding street and grinding and doing certain tricks where this part of the bike is actually very vulnerable, and a lot of people run what they call hub guards even for that reason, so their hub doesn't get destroyed and stuff like that. So you can't really run disc brakes on a street, park, freestyle bike, whatever you want to call it, right? Race bikes, they're starting to become the norm, because on race bikes you're not grinding on ledges and doing things like that. So alright, so this video is just about my plan and then I'll do a video about installing the brake and how that goes, and then we'll do some pad testing and try different pads. Of course, as most of you know, it's dead of winter, so I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do that. I might have to just do it right here in the basement and just start at this end and pedal and put the brakes on, because they're gonna either squeak or not squeak in that short amount of distance anyway. So I should be able to test them right here in the basement. Cool. I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.